So, you know, a lot of Jamaicans say absolutely no to cremation, right? What do you think about it? Suppose I told you our cemeteries are full. We're running out of space to bury people. Would that change your mind? All right, I tell you what. Check out this special report we have coming up right now by Sandy Williams. It's called Out of Room, Jamaica's Burial Crisis. WhatsApp us as you watch. Tell us what you're thinking. 876-254-0693. And stay tuned. We have live discussion after with my guest right here in studio. I'm Dion Jax-Miller. Thanks for joining us. This is All Angles. Let's go to Sandy Williams with Out of Room.
This is where many people say their final goodbyes. But beneath the cracked headstones and fading names, the land is full, and the dead still coming.
This is the Par River Cemetery, one of the oldest burial sites in Montego Bay, St. James. In fact, it was officially opened in 1896, and after 129 years, it's now facing a major crisis. There's no more space left for burials, and so families in and around the city who are looking for a final resting place for their loved ones are struggling as the cemetery has officially reached capacity.
But it has not significantly affected the families because there are options. The problem that we have with options, however, is that not all communities are welcoming of the outside persons, families who would like to utilize their community cemetery for burial. So we have had to consult and maneuver the situation so as to facilitate persons seeking to bury in public cemeteries.
The story echoes across the island, from bustling St. James to the quiet corners of St. Thomas. The Lloyd's Cemetery in St. Thomas, for example, was officially ordered closed in 2021, a marker of the moment it ran out of space to bury the dead.
It was very chaotic for customers within the vicinity, not just customers, but general family members who wanted to have their loved ones within the space. Persons had to go Lethal, being the closest cemetery. Some resorted to Meadows Memorial Gardens, others Dovecote, but it was a bit frustrating for persons.
Once seen as a cost-effective resting place for citizens, Jamaica's public cemeteries can no longer shoulder the weight of the dead. And as the population grows, so too does the pressure, compounded by tighter restrictions on private backyard burials, especially in urban areas. But in some rural districts, old traditions remain alive. In Sheffield, a quiet community on the outskirts of Negril, residents cling to the age-old practice of burying loved ones in their own backyards.
When I was a boy, for example, only a few people were buried in the cemetery. Most people were buried in backyard because that was a culture, as I said, then. People wanted to have their loved ones close to them.
It's nostalgia, but that nostalgia stems from history. As put by Dr. Kurt Henry, director at the African Caribbean Institute of Jamaica, it goes as far back to our African ancestors. He explains that there are three main reasons for the practice: memory, communication, and connection.
It's important for particular Jamaicans, whenever they see the grave of their loved ones, as a way of communicating. So you would find, for example, practices happening such as placing a plate of food on the grave, for example, or placing a bottle of white rum, because the belief is that the deceased is very much present within our everyday life and will still partake of these offerings.
In April 2025, Mark Anthony Brown was in the middle of funeral preparations for his beloved grandmother. The spot he chose, just a few steps away from the family home.
Right here, want him.
Why you don't want him?
Because every time we wake up, we want to see her.
Why? She dead.
I don't matter. The grave is still here. And to how we do it, we still are going to see her.
Ironically, the public cemetery is only meters away, but even if he wanted to bury her there, he couldn't. The Sheffield Cemetery, like many others, is full to capacity. The municipal corporation's data paint a stark picture. Public cemeteries across the island are buckling under pressure. There are fewer than 150 public cemeteries in Jamaica, with almost 30 of them officially closed. A 2020 study by the National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA confirmed what many already feared.
If you have a community that is 100,000, you need 40 hectares of land to a cemetery land use for that population.
And yet, from coast to coast, rural or urban, many cemeteries have already run out of space. And even those that haven't are dangerously close.
While even in the rural areas, they are also struggling to allocate lands for cemetery.
Here's a map of Jamaica. Each pink mark a cemetery needed. By 2030, it's projected that Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine and Clarendon will be in need of significantly more acreage based on their population size, 870, 1,070 and 281 respectively. If the cemeteries disappear, so too may Jamaica's colorful funeral rituals. Alcohol is always a staple, whether for blessing the grounds or as refreshment for digging the earth to lay loved ones to rest. Sometimes just to celebrate a loved one's life before the heavy grief that comes with funeral day. Even music blaring in the background and packaged meals to keep them going. And the day's work goes like this. Blocks being piled atop each other, cement shoveled and used to fill pockets, large gatherings at the burial site days before the send-off. Unless new ground is found, new traditions may be forced upon an old culture. With burial lands vanishing, attention is now turning to alternatives that could redefine how Jamaicans honor their dead. The authorities have been searching for new land to ease the burden.
The St. James Municipal Corporation is actively planning new sites for burial.
Still, not every plot of land is fit to hold the weight of final goodbyes.
There are lots of environmental concerns. The number one I am going to mention here is our water resources. Several research have shown that it does impact groundwater if not properly contained and if not properly managed. You must consider your agricultural land. You must also consider your water resources, even before you think about allocating lands to a cemetery land use.
And even when suitable sites are found, there's often fierce resistance from communities.
I don't like the idea of a cemetery being right next to me. I think that a cemetery should be far away. But if they're giving me some good money and can replace the land, then maybe I would be okay with it.
Oh my God! I would have to put a for sale sign at the gate. Hell no! I am not living beside any cemetery. No.
So getting up every day, realizing that there would be a cemetery next door to me, and looking on just the tomb, the concrete, it would make me feel okay. It would be a sad story.
If we are struggling to find lands, right, it means that we just cannot put cemeteries anywhere. And there has been conflict from communities, which we, as the National Environment and Planning Agency, we pay keen attention to, because sometimes there is this term, not in my backyard. So many persons, because of the cultural, the religious, and the ethnic perspective, some persons don't want cemeteries close to them. That even limits the amount of land that we can find.
So even if more land is found, it may only buy time.
Okay, You're watching Out of Room, a special report by Sandy Williams. When we come back after the break, we'll have the conclusion, part 2. And then after that, stay tuned for our live discussion. Remember, we want your comments as well. 876-254-0693. That's WhatsApp. Give us your first name, your general location. We'll soon come.